Hi there! Today we will be looking at another recipe we were requested to make a video for, Indian roti. Flatbreads in general are very popular in Indian culture as they are easy to make, fast to cook and don't contain any yeast. The method we are going to show you today is not necessarily traditional, but is the one that will give you the best results in the shortest amount of time. This recipe requires very few ingredients, but those you need can be found in the description below the video. To begin with, sift the flour into a bowl large enough to accommodate all the ingredients. If you want your roti to be flavored, feel free to add your favorite spices to the flour before moving on. Now pour in the water and slightly combine the ingredients with a fork to achieve a rough dough. Once the ingredients are roughly mixed, tip the content of the bowl onto a working surface and start kneading by hand until a homogeneous and smooth dough is obtained. To achieve better results, make sure to knead for at least 5 to 8 minutes to properly blend the ingredients. Once finished, wrap the dough into some cling film and let it rest for 30 minutes before moving on. Once the time has elapsed, remove the dough from the film and roll it as thin as possible. Dough of any kind should always rest for some time before you work them into their final shape. This process allows the gluten to relax and creates a strong structure which makes the final dough easier to work with and more elastic. Now, the method we are about to show you is not the traditional way of making roti, and in fact, it isn't the proper way to make any flatbread at all. So why are we making it this way? Because it's the fastest, and if you are not a master baker but still want to obtain great results, we strongly recommend you to use this method. If you are Indian and you are thinking yourself, what the hell are these guys doing? Then hold on to that thought, as we are doing the best we can do to allow non-Indian people to make this bread basically effortlessly. Once the dough is reasonably flat, cut it into your preferred shape using a pastry cutter or any other sharp object you like to work with. Please do not waste the excess dough. It can be rekneaded and cut into more shapes or cooked as it is to obtain some unusually shaped roti, which are sure to taste as equally as delicious as the others. To cook the bread, start by preheating a non-stick pan over high heat. There is no need to grease it, of course, because as the name describes, it is already non-stick. Once the pan is hot, tip in some of the previously prepared bread and watch the magic happen. The bread will soon start to cook and to puff up. Now, you really want your roti to puff whilst it is cooking, as that means that some steam is developing inside the dough. The internal steam is what cooks this delicious bread from the inside. This is also why a good roti has a layered internal structure, because due to the fact that it puffs, the dough separates into beautiful and tender layers. This bread should cook for roughly 2 minutes on each side, or until it reaches a light brown color on both sides. Now there is something worth noting about this bread. Roti doesn't contain yeast, so it has a chewy texture and it is best when prepared and consumed immediately afterwards. For the same reason, it doesn't respond very well if left to sit for a few hours on the kitchen counter. So if you made your bread yesterday and you're fully convinced that today is still going to have a nice consistency, well, unfortunately you are going to be disappointed. But it will allow you to make it all over again, and that's half the fun, right? Anyway, as you can see, this bread can be of any shape or size. You can cut them small and use them as a base for some tartlets, or alternatively, you could make them larger and serve them with your favorite curry, your choice. And this is the final bread ready to be served, and personally, I find it quite delicious. As you could see, this bread really is a quick preparation, which makes it a perfect alternative when you have one of those days where you want to cook, but don't want to waste an entire day in the kitchen. We say waste, but personally we don't think any time in the kitchen is wasted. We hope you enjoyed this recipe, and if you did, please don't forget to hit the like button before moving on. It is worth noting that if you don't hit the like button, your roti won't come out very nice, as this has a major impact on the result of the final recipe. And if you think that I'm threatening you, I can assure you I am not, but I'm simply stating a fact: Indian breads like thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and to the next recipe.